Carlos Vaz, thank you so much for being here with us today.
My pleasure, Juan. It's we have been talking for a while about this here, and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad that we have been able to finally get a chance to be able to make this happen. And so, we're all busy and trying to be productive. So, that's very understandable, and appreciate you taking the time and making this happen today. So, tell us, Carlos, where are you calling us from today?
Calling from Dallas, Texas. That's my home, the beautiful state of Texas. So
yes, the great state of Texas. I back you up on that one. I love Texas, and there's so much opportunity here, and we'll get into that subject here in a little bit. But yes, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? How you came here and how real estate came about.
Sure. A little bit about myself. Was born in Brazil, kind of one of 9 kids. Kind of my father was a butcher, my mom a homemaker. We didn't have that much growing up, but that's the attitude of working together. A lot can be said about having gratitude as well. So it's so easy for us to forget what we have and always looking for something more. So that's pretty much where I was, where I was born. I always worked with my dad since the age of 7, going to the butcher shop, going to the farm. So sometimes I joke, if you go to Brazil, you spend 30 days getting to know the country. You might know the country better than I do because I was always working. But other than that, it's just kind of working the family business. Then the first one of my brothers actually started going to high school, then going to college. When I go into college was different because it was one of those federal universities that you don't have to pay. Yet, if you don't have to pay, someone is always going to go on strike. So I have one strike during the first year, was approximately 4 months. Then a second one during the second year, another 2 months. And I said, oh, good Lord, that's going to take forever until I'm able to finish. With that in mind, I said, perhaps I go overseas, do any type of internship, and then come back. I found one office in Boston, they would hire interns. So then I moved to the US over 17 years ago now, with $300 in my pocket to live in an attic in Boston. So $300 in my pocket. So my rent was $350. So any P&L, I'm already $50 negative. so that's so what are you gonna do, right? So my first job, I say job because I was getting paid. Because work as an intern, you wear the suit and tie, but you don't get paid. So my first job was actually a newspaper warehouse from 2 a.m. to 6, load and unload trucks. Then going to the office from 8 to the law office from 8 to 3. Going to school during the night and also work at TGI Fridays over the weekend. So that was pretty much the beginning, working odd jobs. And I never complain about my situation. I think if you complain about the situation, you need to look at ourselves. It's not up to us to complain about the world. It's for us to look at ourselves. So what are you doing about our time? What are you doing something differently? So 2 years from now, I'm not in the same situation I am today. So many times people complain, but tell me what I have been doing for the last 2 years, and I'm telling you where we're gonna be in the next 2 years from now. So your habits, right? So working those odd jobs, and until a friend of mine invited me to work on a construction business. I ended up working on a construction business, doing carpentry, all the odd jobs, and learned the trade. That's how I ended up creating my first company, which was Conti Construction. Conti is actually named after my mom, so Neuza Conti. I used to joke that I'm gonna always have my dad's last name. I need to find a way to carry over her name as well, and then I named the company after her.
Nice.
It was great. So I think just doing small jobs on the construction side, and but I do believe that everything you do in life that you put your mind into it, you have integrity, you have character, eventually it's gonna pay off, right? So that small construction company started growing. Then another person that I know there in Boston said, Carlos, why don't you work with me on the mortgage side? Because if someone is going to buy a house, there's a good chance they're going to do a renovation. So you can do that job. So if you know of anyone who wants to buy a house, you let me know. I'll do the loan and you do the renovation. So that made sense. Yet I told him, well, I want to learn. I want to learn how we put mortgages together, how we do all that. So with that in mind, let's start learning the mortgages. And then from 05 to 07, that's when the second company took shape, which was the Conti Group. just to do renovations, flipping homes. Then from '05 to '07, I did about 30 houses in the greater Boston area. I always buy the same, like McDonald's, copy the same paint, the same faucets, copy and paste, keep it simple, and do it again. Yet came 2007, and it was people were too happy, right? It was the hype, right?
Right.
This is not going to go well. I said, if the house today, if I were to rent the house, my rent's not going to cover that mortgage, so that's really not going to work. So how can I sell this year and go to look for someone else? That's how I sold my houses. Early 2007. By May of '07, I was completely out, and that's where it's going to bring me to Texas later. So I'll let you say something.
No, I really like your background. I really like how you came here, with big dreams. You came here with just a couple $100 and you made sacrifices. You said you were living in an attic, From there you had dreams to proceed and starting your company, and you acquired some homes and you were buying and flipping, and you're learning the mortgage industry. I mean, you're doing so many things, and it just shows your entrepreneurial spirit, right? And so I really like that part. And thank you for sharing that. So how did you transition? How did you make the mindset shift and to get into larger deals and to get you to where you are today?
Sure. I think that's very important. I think your mindset is the most important thing. And everything is also balanced, right? It's just more like you need to have the healthy balance, to have your mental break, your physical break, everything. You need everything in your life, because every time you go to extremes, it's hard. There's the saying, right? What you think you believe, what you believe you become. So it's very important to develop those habits. So in my mind, I was still living in Boston. And then after I said, I'm not going to get involved in single family anymore, I knew some people that were in multifamily, right? They had 50, maybe 100 units in the greater Boston area. Typically, they were the second generation. They still have those properties. And as I was talking to them, everything kind of made sense, but I need to go learn first, right? I have a lot of this learner mentality. There's that saying, right? If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. I say that I've tried my own, and it sucks. It tastes very sour. I don't want to do it again. So with that in mind, I want you to take some CCIM classes. Whenever someone asks me about real estate, mainly on the commercial side, and office, retail, multifamily, I always recommend CCIM. I believe that they're an amazing organization. They're very, the professors and the instructors and the material is really outstanding. I started taking those classes and I said, wow, this is great. As I look at the data, demographic, right? I said, perhaps I need to go to a city that's growing faster, or to a place that's growing faster than Boston. And I do want to get involved in multifamily. That was the mindset where I was already shifting. So if you look in '07, two states were growing a lot. One was North Carolina, the other one was Texas. I went to Dallas in August of '07. I spent about 2 weeks, and I said, this is home. My wife knows every time I goes out and I do something and I'm out for about a week or so, I'm already missing Texas. I miss Texas.
It's not just cows and horses here, like everybody seems to believe. It's a lot more than that.
Oh yeah, and actually, I'm glad when people think that. Oh, you don't have a bunch of cowboys. Yes, please don't come. It's horrible. Oh, the weather. It's hot. Please, don't come. It's really horrible. So, but there's something special about Texas. I think Texas. I say that people bigger than the state is only the heart of the Texans. They have a huge heart. The huge, kind of to-do attitude. Say, how can you do? How can we work together? And how can I help you? Even it's not the why. Why should I help? Is that how can I help you? It's a very different mindset. So I moved to Dallas officially in September of 2007 with that mindset. I am going to get involved into multifamily. That was that focus. Getting to know all the brokers, who you are. I put a one-page kind of a summary. So this is myself, Carlos Vaz. This is what I have done, and meeting people. I think network is really. There's a saying that I heard the other day, which is so interesting, is that your net worth is a function of your network. So net
Yes.
worth, network.
That makes a
So
lot of sense. Yes.
I mean, they walk side by side. And so what I did, I moved to Dallas, started meeting a lot of brokers. And there's one broker that gave me a shot. Was a property that was looking in Houston, was a 280 units, has been foreclosed. I ended up putting the property in a contract, was the last week of September of 2007.
Awesome. Awesome. So in this whole process, were there any mentors to get you kind of through this mental, hurdle? Did you have any kind of mentors to kind of show you and guide you through this process?
I cannot say that I have one mentor or someone that, hey, this person really guided me through. I was even speaking at a panel today, and I was so thankful because 3 of the panelists, I mean, they have been in the industry for over 20 years. I mean, some of those people, seriously, some of those people that have been maybe 40 years. So they're such a kind of a well of knowledge, of advice, right? So I think there's some situations that, although I didn't have a single mentor, I have a lot of people that I always, I'm meeting this person has been in the management side for 40 years. I just want to sit there and listen. So how do you do that? And what about this? And what about that? So, and then you're going to talk to this lender, right? Has been in the business for 20 plus years. So that's something can be said when someone has been in the industry for that long, because you have seen the good times and have seen the bad times. You have seen the okay times and have the not so bad times. So you start to see patterns and you start to listen to them. But the beauty is that when we listen to them, there's always nuggets of knowledge. So it's up to us to decide, hey, this is a good thing, I'm going to use this year. Or if you're just listening, you're not doing anything. So to me, that's the best way to describe people that I always met, and how can I listen to them and see if I can learn something, and whenever possible, see if I can give something back to them.
Yeah. And I read an article back then that stated something about George Ross, that you took a class with him. And George Ross was, for those of you guys that do not know who he is, he was Donald Trump's, one of Donald Trump's advisors. So can you tell us, briefly that story, and then
Sure.
we'll progress back into this?
Sure. Just 1 second. I'll give you even more. See if that's the book. That's the book. So this is what happened. It was back, I don't remember when
Trump strategies for real estate. Yeah.
Yeah, Trump strategies for real estate. That was it. I mean, one day I was kind of watching TV and I saw The Apprentice. Maybe I think it was the first or the second season. I don't remember. And I see, really, I never cared for Trump. But when I saw George Ross, he was there, and I said, wow, that's the guy's amazing. Because every time Trump would look at him and George would move his head, saying, well, that the guy is wow, that's amazing. And then I did a Google search and I found George Ross. I said, oh, that's interesting. And then I bought this book.
Right.
So that's and the interesting part is when you look at the last page of the book, right, it says George Ross is also, he teaches negotiation at New York University. I said, you're kidding me. Awesome.
Nice.
Then I went to New York University website, and I found, oh, he teaches a real estate class. But I was still living in Boston, right? Boston, New York, a 4-hour bus drive. I didn't have all the money, so it's hard. So, but they have these Chinese buses that you pay $15. It's nothing. It's a little bit dangerous because sometimes the same guy has been driving for over 48 hours a day. It can get tricky. I don't know if that's the case, but sometimes just watching the way they were driving, it's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
So I saw that one. I not even thought twice. I said, people think that, oh, when opportunity comes, I'm gonna be ready for it. I'm gonna make myself ready. But I believe that, and that's not my saying, that you need to put yourself in such a shape that when opportunity comes, you're ready to take advantage of them. And that shape per se is the people that you let into your life, the books that you're reading, the things that you're doing with you, so you're getting yourself prepared, right? So I saw this book, I said, that's amazing. And I went online, I signed up for that class, and I show up in New York to attend the class. So every Wednesday, I believe, I used to take a bus at 2:00, get to New York at 6, run to NYU, have class with him, and then walk to the train station. So say bye, get my bus at 10 o'clock, be back in Boston about 2 a.m. and show up at work at 6.
Wow.
So
Yeah, those were some sacrifices that you had to do there, just on the schedule side of it, alone, because you had that vision that you really wanted to go after that knowledge, right?
It's want to surround yourself with the right people, right? Want to surround
Right.
yourself with the right people. So we never know. So at the end, he gave me one of her business cards and said, Carlos, if I can ever help you, just let me know. I never call him, but still, and he signed the book. So it was a great token. So I'm very thankful to him, and not only to him, but so many people that came into my life, and they were just they gave me which I believe the biggest gift, their time.
Time, yes. Kind of like you right now, giving your time to share your experiences and your knowledge with so many listeners out there that can actually take that advice that you're giving right now, even to me, and put it to use. I mean, that's so valuable, and it all starts with you giving your time. So
Sure.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for sharing that
pleasure.
story. Yeah.
No, my pleasure. But
Yeah.
then my own story. So then to finalize, I moved to Boston. So we moved to Dallas. Then we closed my first deal, the 280 units, was in March of 2008. Of course, I didn't have the equity, didn't have anything. We did the partnership with another group. Like the first deal, the terms were not good. So, but then you just need to keep in mind, right? If your first deal, remember that, like Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, you work for the knowledge, you don't work for the money. I said, sure, let's do the first one, because anyone can tell a good story until you need to execute, until you do it, the story.
Yeah.
And of course, like Mike Tyson said, right, we all have a plan until you're punched in your face.
Yes, I love that. That's one of my favorite quotes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna work. No, it's work, because you never know. So sure, I started to work with them and said, listen, I want to help you. How can we do this thing together? Started helping them. Within less than 2 weeks, say, Carlos, let's do this again. Say, sure. Then from March of 2008 to September, I did about 1,400 units in the greater Dallas area, about 7 projects, one after the other. Was very busy. At that stage, they said, hey, Carlos, it's a little bit too busy. Let's stop a little bit. And that's when I met Stuart, who ended up becoming my partner later. And that's how Conti evolved in the third stage, that Conti Organization. Person that have been involved in about 7,500 units. Our portfolio today is about 6,200 units. We self-manage a little bit over 130 people. And we love what we do. I think that's I'm very thankful for the opportunity to do what I do. I really enjoy every day. Every day is always different. And I do believe that multifamily is only the product. Our main thing is that the culture of the company, our people, and our process. So that's something great that we appreciate so much. And personally, I'm very thankful for this country. I think that for someone who was not born here, this country is indeed a blessing. Sometimes people forget that, but the U.S. has been beyond kind to me. So I always have the attitude how I can help. And recently, mainly for the last 2 years, we have been doing a lot in charity work. I say, if it's education, if it's the little guys, how can I help?
Yeah, I love that, and that just goes to show that you put in the hard work, and it'll pay off towards the end. Have other people in your mind and their best interests at heart before yours. Thank you so much. So let's talk about these. This first property, your underwriting. What kind of terms were you looking for, and what did you get whenever you actually went to close on a deal? What kind of part did you get whenever you partnered up?
Yeah, it is hard to tell. Was the first deal? I think time and circumstances, they do change everything. So you need to look what the time in the market was, what the time is today. If you look in 2008, early 2008 is, I would say, 2009 to me was the dark ages. It's no finances available. 2008 was not easy either. So this property has been foreclosed. So if your property has been foreclosed, it means the occupancy, the numbers are not there. So our previous ownership was struggling with that property. So you can say, wow, it might be a good deal. It depends. It depends because why did it get foreclosed? What are the issues related to that? was a operation issue or was a physical issue or even environmental issue. So there's a lot of things that can be happening to that property. So in this case, it was operation, right? But if you buy a property that has been foreclosed, so your occupancy is not going to be 90% plus. So if you look at the time, we had to get something like a Hardeman loan that typically you're going to be paying that 12 to anywhere between 12 to 15%. It's a higher rate, but that's all that's available in the market to justify the low price. And you're going to be paying a couple of points, give or take, right? So and typically that 2 years or so. So that's it. That term, that if you look, that's pretty much the term on the finance side you'll be able to get. And being the first deal, it always depends. Right? You as putting that deal together, how much equity you're bringing? So if your person is bringing a lot of equity, or if you're not, or if it's sweat equity, that you found the deal, you did all the things together, how much does that worth? But above that, I believe something can be said, who is the person you're partnering with? Sometimes people are so eager to get a deal done. I'll use caution on that. Don't put the deal ahead of the partnership. Make sure that you understand who is going to be your partner. Are we seeing eye to eye? So in my case, the terms were not much favorable. It was almost 99-1. I think we all know who got the one, which is okay.
It's all right. It was a learning experience, right? Like you said earlier.
It's a learning experience. So I say, oh, you're not making that much money, but you're getting you're getting a fee, you're getting a small percentage. So at least your foot is at the door. So that's something that for anyone listening, I would say, is that your first deal? Is your second deal? Which stage are you at? Because let's say after year 5 or 6 or 10, you have some knowledge, not only knowledge, but you have the wisdom, right? To me, that wisdom, you want to have knowledge applied. So you're doing that again. So the perspective change. So with that, I would say, you just need to be a little bit more cautious. So if you're doing a partnership, how much equity you're doing? What's the expectation you and your partner, right? Or partner or partners, who is doing what? So that's something, because if you have a partner that actually knows the business, that can do the management, maybe there's a different percentage. So all depends on deals to deals, but
right. No, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for that. You
sure.
mentioned that you're 6,000 plus units. Is that correct? Is that
Yep.
correct? Yeah. So for you to be able to get to that amount of that large of a size of a portfolio, one key thing is capital and sourcing capital. So how have you been able to evolve from the very beginning to now in sourcing the capital?
Sourcing capital, I think you always meeting different people, right? So all depends, and it's a big responsibility when you have a partner. It's not people say, well, I'm gonna get something that I always see very frustrating to me once people say, all these people money. I don't believe in all these people money. I believe in money, and in the way you treat $5 cannot be different the way you treat 5 million. So the principle has to be the same. So to raise capital, right? So number one, I believe that you need to put a summary. What do you want to do? What's the business plan? What's the business plan that can justify your need for money? And what's that for the investor? All right. So what's that business plan? You have your business plan. Who did the underwriting? Who's going to be doing the management? That can say, hey, it's myself. It's going to be my first deal. If you look at your first deal, I would say your people that you need to find first are number one, find a good real estate attorney. Who's going to be a good real estate attorney that you can talk to, can help. Find a good insurance company. Property insurance, they go left and right. You need to make sure that, hey, whatever I'm getting is good. The other thing, and a very good one, is finding a good property manager. The first deal, you're not going to be able to self-manage the property. So you start meeting a couple of them and say, listen, if I were to buy a property, what do you advise me? What are the things? By the way, can I go and speak with a couple of your clients? Who are they? Always check the references. That's really important. Doesn't matter what you do in life. So then you have that business plan, right? So I have that business plan set up. place that real estate clubs, if you go to real estate clubs, go to as many as you can. You're always going to find investors out there. So like CCIM that I mentioned, CCIM, they have a lot of functions. It's a great place to network. And also you might be able to find investors there. Right? So to me, that's always kind of that. And some associations, right? If there's a network event, why these people are getting together? I mean, what's the cause behind? So to me, that those are some of the places that you can do. But everything starts with those. I'll say the closest people, right? Like insurance, real estate agent,
attorney, and property
brokers,
manager,
attorneys, all these people. They're very important.
Right. So I want to talk about broker. Now that you mentioned that, what's the best way to talk to a broker? What's the best way to approach a broker, and like that they can take you seriously if you're a newer guy and that hasn't done a deal yet? What do you say to them?
I think number one, sometimes people, they have a misunderstanding who brokers are. I think brokers are amazing people. If you look at someone is working, I mean, you call it not 5 days a week. Being a broker, you're working 7 days a week. You're always working, right?
Right.
And some of these brokers, they have been in business for 5 years, for 10 years plus, 20 years. Look at the amount of, connections, network they have. It's huge. So
Yeah.
I think number one that any person needs to do before even going to talk to a broker is that defining what you're looking for. What are you looking for? If you say, I want to buy properties that are 50 to 150 units, and you cannot say all over Houston or all over Dallas, because it's those are big cities. Those are, maybe I'm going to focus on, I don't know, you call it Dallas, North Dallas. So, and then you start to, you should sign up for all their websites, go to their website, sign up for the newsletter. They're going to send newsletter, they're going to send listings. Start to reading those. So start to put that data together. So that's interesting. Because the most respectful thing that you can do to a broker, once you're talking to someone, they know that you understand the business a little bit.
Right. They want some sort of feedback, right? They want some sort of feedback whenever they're telling you something. They want some sort of feedback and know that you're also knowledgeable on the subject and not just somebody that's just knocking on the door and doesn't really have a clue. So yes. Education first, right?
Yes, educate yourself a little bit on what that broker does. I say, oh, I know that. So, because very frustrating. If you look at a website, right? So you can have a Class A broker. He's just selling new properties and the good things. Imagine if you send an email to that person, say, listen, John, hey, I know we're busy. I'm looking for B's and C properties or more C properties in 150 to 150 units. He's going to get very upset, actually, because you just told in his face that you didn't read his bio. You have no idea what he does, because he's dealing for completely different type of clientele. So yes. Who are the people? You need to understand who are the people you're going to be talking to. Say, okay, I need to talk to that person. So I think that's a good thing. And also put a one-page summary. Hey, this is myself. This is Carlos. This is what I have done. This is some of the things I'm looking for. And once you go into a meeting, give that paper. Say, hey, John, thank you for taking the time and meeting with me today. Hey, I know that in the past 6 months or past year, you have listings like this. First, what do you see the industry coming? And what do you see this year? And I'm new to the business. I'm trying to create my network and get to know more people. What do you recommend someone like to myself? And if I were to find the best deals in this environment today, what are the things that I have seen that you think that's really important for me to be able to get a loan from you or to get a deal from you? So to make sure that you have your record, make sure you have your loan. So I think that's a good start.
You bring up some great points. And now that you mentioned in this market, I want to kind of touch on that. I want to kind of touch on how you are underwriting deals now because of the state of the market and how heated it is pretty much everywhere nationwide, but especially there where you're at in DFW. So how are you underwriting properties, and are you only limited to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or are you looking at other markets as well?
That's a great question. I'm going to start with the second part, which is easier. Is if we're just focused in Dallas, we self-manage. Okay. We say that our strength is also our weakness because we only do things ourselves. So so we self-manage in dollars or backyard. So or better state. We do believe that.
Which is also a great thing, right? It's also a great thing because you're able to know the market even better, right? Since you already have a lot of other properties and your operations is there, so it becomes much more efficient as well, right?
Yes, there's a lot of economy of scale. There's on the people side. There's a lot of good things should be said about it. So we're very focused in our own backyard.
Okay.
Now, when you look at underwriting, there's so many things that we can speak for hours about underwriting.
Yeah.
Three things are really important to us that if I don't find, we're not going to do a deal. Number one, the property has to qualify for Fannie Mae loan.
Okay.
So that's ourselves. We're not going to do a deal that does not qualify for Fannie Mae.
And so can you explain what that means to be able to qualify, stabilize at a certain percentage?
So, yeah, it's typically you need to be 90% or above in occupancy. So it's you as a sponsor need to have sponsorship in place, and so perhaps some of the people are not going to be able to qualify for Fannie Mae first time around. So which is fine. We're just talking where we are today and what I look personally for us as a company. So so they're going to look at the occupancy. They want to make sure that you're not going to do a massive renovation, like something more than 10 or 12,000 per unit. That's not, they don't want to get involved on that. Yeah. So it's more stable properties. That's why we're able to get typically a 10-year loan amortized in 30 that's fixed. So if the market goes up or down, I know my rate is fixed. So I'm very risk averse, right?
Yes.
So rule number one, don't lose money. Rule number two, listen to rule number one. So,
yes.
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett, yes. Yes, I love that.
So very conservative on that end. If I were to add, so it has to qualify for Fannie Mae. The second one, the median household income, not the average, because I believe the average can be very misleading, right? You get someone making $30,000 a year, someone making $600,000 a year, and this is my average household income. I don't like that. I like more the median. It's give a better, it's more precise. My median household income on kind of based on a 3 mile range has to be above 50,000.
Okay.
That's $50,000. Because every time you go above the 50,000, you are in more stable neighborhoods, which is amazing. You're gonna find your Starbucks, you're gonna find your Home Depot, your Walgreens. Just find good areas. So that's important to us. And the third one is that we need to have at least a 7% cash on cash paid to the investors year one. So when I say year one is we do monthly distribution. So if I don't see that one, the deal's not going to work.
You said 7%. Is that correct?
Yes.
7%. Okay, got it. And I want to touch on one other thing, Carlos. I know that you graduated from Harvard Business School. So tell us how that has helped you both professionally and personally.
Sure. Just to clarify, that's the Harvard Business School, the OPM program. So the OPM program stands for Owner, Presidents, and Management. It's a program that typically you need to be the owner of the company. You need to have a certain revenue. It's a 3-year program. You're at HBS for 3 weeks. The program is unbelievable. I highly recommend it for anyone who is able to attend. Of course, you're at HBS, amazing people. But I would say the 3 biggest, takeaway of this year. Number one, that unbelievable network, the people that you meet and what they do. Because if you look, when you're talking to another entrepreneur or someone running a company, the product might change, but the bones are going to be the same in that you have a CEO, a CFO, and so that's something is the same. So the challenge or the opportunities are being very similar. So that's number one. Number two, I think the professors were outstanding, really great professors and funny, and with a lot of wisdom. So some of the professors have so much energy, running back and down, and just listen to them. They're just amazing. And the third one, they split you in groups of 8. You have the classes are 40. So a total of 160. So you have A, B, C, D. So the first week you are A and B, then A and C, then A and D. But in your living kind of in your dorm, you have a living group. That living group's about 8 people. So that friendship turns very close, which was amazing. So before I realized, you have kind of 7 other brothers or a couple of sisters as well. You never know. So so I liked it a lot. I think this has helped me. It's it gets a stage in your life that I don't believe you're going to take a class that's going to change you completely. It's all about the small nuggets, right? You go attend that class. Oh, that's I have 2 good points here. And then you go something else. Oh, I have 1 point, and then 3 points. So when you start to put that together, that's give you a huge perspective. Hey, this is this is
A lot of good
this is
information.
who we become, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Thank you so much for
Sure.
sharing a little bit about the Harvard OPM program. Let's jump into our nuggets of wealth, Carlos, and let's get into that. And what is one key tip or advice that you would give others who are also looking to get started or take their business to the next level?
Sure. I think that it's something that even our parents teach us when growing up, right? Respect everyone you meet. So sometimes we take things for granted, but life is the business relationship are really a reflection of who you are as people. So sometimes people think that I am better than the other person, right? So hey, oh, this is the guy cleaning the hallway. I mean, I remember when I moved to our first building, and the broker was excited, telling me the story. Carlos, aren't you happy? I said, yes, I am. But you know what? I can relate more to that guy cleaning the hallway than to the owner of this building. So I think rule number 1: respect everyone that you meet, doesn't matter what. So that's something that if you want to get the bad side of me, you don't respect people in front of me, you get me very upset very quickly. So you never know. So, and also, if you're we are all in this networking business in a certain way, right? So
Right.
you never know who you're gonna meet. The only certainty that life has, we never know. You
Yes.
never know. That's the only.
Yes.
Never know. We're talking here today. Who knows where this is gonna take us? I
Exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
it's you never know. So maybe that person that you're not being so respectful might be the EA of that CEO that you want to talk to, that can give you some business or give you the equity or so forth. And you didn't respect her much. So why is that? There's something that I say all the time, right? The world is already full of jerks. Why do you need to be another one? No, come on.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so seriously.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
last time that I checked, nobody's perfect.
Nope.
So, I mean, mistakes are going to happen. So take full responsibility when there's a mistake. People appreciate it and say, listen, hey, sorry. So respect, I would give that one advice or anyone trying to get into business. Respect everyone and have a plan. Where would you like to see yourself, right? And where would you like, what's the plan? Where would you like to see yourself 6 months, 1 year or so forth for now, right?
Yeah.
How we work on your business, right? I mean, hey, what are you doing to take to the next level? If you get home, you turn on the TV after work or after the college, whichever, and you do that every night, guess where you're going to be 2 years from now? And you spend watching TV
Probably the
for
same.
5 hours.
Yeah. Probably the same
Same
spot.
situation. So, and also keeping networking, talking to other people, see what they're doing. Find this a small mastermind group. When you find someone that you appreciate and say, listen, you're a great person. Hey, do you mind if I follow up with you maybe every month or 3 months from now, just to pick up on our brain? That's something I'll definitely I'll look into that.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Those are some very key advice. 3 pieces of advice that you just gave there that definitely are both helpful for business, but also just in life in general. Correct. And so, yes, thank you very much for that. Can you provide a book that you are currently reading? And before you answer that, you have given me a book previously, which was Never Eat Alone. And I thought
Yes.
that book was awesome, and I appreciate that. So that's a book that I'm recommending because he recommended it, and I'm saying it's a good book. But do you have another book that you can also recommend?
Sure. I mean, Never Eat Alone is really a great book. I think that's I have so many books that I can talk about. You can say the one that I'm reading now, or but if you come to my office, a couple of books when start working for us, you have to read, right? One is The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni, that how to build very effective team, how trust is the source of everything. So Patrick Lanciano on that, I'll highly recommend. He's a great guy. Of course, Jim Collins, From Good to Great. Unbelievable books that you need to look at. Currently, a book that I'm reading is called The Nonviolent Communication.
Okay.
It's the whole idea, how can make communication more effective. So how can you, this book, the guy sold more than 1 million copies. I think he's doing something right.
Yeah.
It's the whole idea about empathy, kind of collaboration, authenticity, and freedom. So how can you have that? Because it's all about communication at the end of the day. So that's something I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly learning how I can have a more effective communication, how I'm able to listen to understand, not to respond.
Got it. No, that makes a lot of sense. That's definitely a book that we all need to pick up, and I'm sure it can help us all. So, Carlos, at the end of your life, how do you want to be remembered?
That's a great question. I would say, for my wife, I want to say he was a present husband. He always took the time to listen to me. For my kids, he always a present dad. He always led by example. Whenever he made a mistake, he took full responsibility. So he stood behind his words. For the people I work with, for both my employees and for my employees, is that someone who cares, someone that this person wants to become part of the Conti family. He's gonna go for war for you. So for my investors, is someone that you can rely upon, someone that's transparent, someone that has integrity. And for all the above, and for all people that I know and everything else, is that he was happy, and he made other people happy, and he believed that he was able to impact other people positively in every single time, in every relationship.
Thank you so much. That's a great detailed answer, and I appreciate it so much. So, Carlos, where can Commit to Wealth Nation go to find out more about you and Conti?
Just through our website, Conti.org, contiorg.com.
Okay, contiorg.com. Simple enough. Okay.
Yes.
Well, Carlos, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and sharing your pieces of advice. So much advice that you gave here, and thank you so much for that. I appreciate it so much, and I wish you continued success.
Juan, I think that you're doing a great job. Congratulations to you. Congratulations for putting this together. Wish all the success to you, and glad to be part of it.
Thank you very much.